talk about because it's no big deal. So, how are you today?
I'm great, thank you very much.
That's lovely to hear. So you do Reiki, right?
Yes, I practice Reiki for about 3 years already.
So, could you explain to me because I've heard a lot about Reiki, but could you explain to me what Reiki is?
Reiki, it's a hands-on healing technique, and Reiki from Japanese can be translated as Rei, as universal, or like it presents everywhere at the same time, and
Okay.
Ki as a energy, as a vital life source, a life force.
Okay, so it's an omnipresent energy.
Yes.
So what does it mean to practice Reiki? Because I know that it's a practice, but it's also a noun, right? Where it's a thing, like you can have Reiki, right?
uh, you can have means practice Reiki means turn on your intuition and connect to the energy source, to like it's around us, it's everywhere, right, at the same time. And
Mm-hmm.
no, and the practitioner connects to this energy, to this light, and like serves as a conduit for the recipient, for the person that um, willing to receive it. uh, that's basically it.
That's very cool. And how did you get into Reiki?
I got into many years ago, like step by step, after my husband passed, kind of all these alternative methods began opening to me, and I began meditating, and through these was introduced like with Reiki, and was very interested, like how it influenced me, and I was excited just to share it with other people, to for them to experience it, because it's kind of hard to explain until you experience it.
Yeah, I can understand that because I don't think I've ever experienced it. I've had friends who've suggested, and I feel like I don't really know, what like even with it explained, I'm like I feel like it's one of those things you have to experience. That makes
Uh,
sense to me.
yeah, first of all, this energy, like it exists everywhere, right, around us, and it's for 1,000 years, like since we not even born. So it, uh, we don't see it, but we know that it exists, and the scientists already proved its existence. And with the aid of a current photography, I think it was since like 1930 or something already, we are able to take pictures of this energy. And before it was mystical, all these auras and chakras, but now we can photograph it and see that actually exists. And it's every single cell in our body produces light. It not only produces, but it produces, keeps the light and receives the light. And the ability of our cells to do that, it determines how healthy we are. And the new alternative medicine, like diagnostics, they do based on this like phenomenon, right, or actual effect. Uh, they easy can determine that what 20 years from now the person can develop such and such disease that would manifest into the symptoms that our medicine knows right now 20 years later, right? So, but using this ability of ourselves, we can 20 years ahead see what we're going to, and
That's
prevent.
amazing.
Yeah.
So, with that ability, are we able to alter the path? Like, say it was rheumatoid arthritis. We know in 20 years from now, you're going to see symptoms of rheumatoid
Yeah,
arthritis. Having that information, does that allow us to alter that trajectory?
sure. First of all, you approach your diet changes, right? So
Mm-hmm.
what you change, what you're not supposed to eat, what influences that. And besides, like as for Reiki, it influences body, mind, and spirit, and balances the flow of this energy through like our body, in and out of the body. And it stimulates our immune system to start this natural healing process by detoxifying the body. And when the body is cleared of the toxins, then the natural healing begins. So it's,
That's
oh,
amazing.
yeah,
So what does it look like when, like, say you had a client come in, a client? Is that what you would call?
you could call it client, or
Okay. if you had a client come
Oh,
in,
patient.
well, I was thinking patient, and I
Yeah,
was like, I
that's.
don't really know.
I would say client just fits more that. Yeah.
So if you had a client come in, like what would a typical, I know there's probably not a typical one, it's probably different and unique each time, but what would that look like for a meeting or a session? I don't know the right terminology.
The session. Yeah.
For a client. So what would that look like if you had a brand new client first time?
Oh, first we would communicate with the client what kind of problem symptoms they're having, right? And I would aware ahead what bothers at the basic level, and then we just like on a massage table, the client lies down, relaxes, takes some like a few breaths, relax the immune system, relax the body, mind, try to not to think about anything, and then I begin connecting to the universal life force and just supplying that energy through my body, through my hands, uh, to the recipient. And some people even say that actually the recipient who pulls that energy through the body of the practitioner, and it goes where it needs to go. So there's no even intention to be like needed to be done. Like, okay, I need to heal that areas, but the energy flows where it needs to flow.
That's amazing.
And
That sounds,
yeah,
oh,
I
sorry,
can
go ahead.
feel it. Like when in areas where the recipient has maybe problems or like I question, I just feel it. It's so hot and just pulling so much through. That's amazing.
That is amazing. And what you were describing in the beginning, I mean, that's very similar to meditation. So the client would basically lay down and try and clear their mind and basically be open to whatever's coming.
Yeah.
So that's very cool. And so you said you started on meditation and stuff before you got into the Reiki?
Mm-hmm.
So how long would you say that you have been exploring alternative methods of finding peace and health and happiness?
I started with meditation, but I didn't meditate like classic way. I'm kind of scientific girl. I like everything to be based on science. Even not everything does, but maybe science will come to that point after all.
Mm-hmm.
And I was using holosync technology for meditation. So it's a technology developed using different frequencies that influence our brain and connect to the left and right side of our brain, so make us whole. So sometimes people are left-sided, right? They're more
Mm-hmm.
like practical. It's like material side of the
Mm-hmm.
brain. They feel they're not whole. They feel maybe not exactly happy because they're missing that artistic, that
Element.
object. Yeah, object. The other part of the brain. So, and when we meditate using holosync technology or regular meditation, what takes like much longer to reach the point when we feel ourselves whole. I have an example when, like at some point when I was meditating, and before I was easy to be triggered by someone like negative emotions and like
Mm-hmm.
react the same way, and then you think, like, oh man, why would I react like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at yeah, but at some point when I was meditating, I realized, man, like they trigger me. I know I would be triggered and I would be screaming right now. But I have a moment to think, like, okay, how should I react? Should I scream? Should I ignore? Forget it. And
That's beautiful. So
for
it
me,
creates enough space.
yes, it's enough space. It's like in these movies when the time got frozen, right? And you have time to decide what you want to do next. It's
That's
amazing.
amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I've experienced some similar stuff like that too, where it's almost like when you, well, for me, it's I really try to like look at things like with neutrality when it comes to interactions and stuff. And I found the same type of thing where it helps to create a little bit of space. Most of the time, I mean, I still have moments where I'm not as like I can be a little bit reactive, but
We're
most of
all
the time where it
human.
creates, yeah, exactly. um, but it creates enough space where I can observe what's going on in my brain and I go, oh, you're angry. Okay, why don't we wait a second for that to dissipate before we move forward with whatever we're going to do. So that's very, very cool that created that for you.
That's
I
right.
So would you say, because you were saying, so it sounds like you're more left brain naturally. You said you're very into science.
I would say like it's objective, subjective part of the brain, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's the people who more materialistic left-sided, the who more artistic right-sided. I would say like I more artistic maybe, and but
Okay.
I see both. So I see both, and like when it brings together, you feel like you the same, like everyone is the same. So we're all one. We're all like brothers and sisters. So I love everyone. So I don't judge, and I noticed like with while meditating and just doing this journey that I'm in love with every person. Like that's all
I
close to me.
I'm very much like that as well, which I think is one of the reasons I was so, drawn to Andre as a friend, because he's like that as well too. But that's cool. Yeah, I think the balance is good to have. If anything, I'm maybe a little bit heavy on the right side at the artistic side, and struggle a little bit with the more organizational type stuff. So I'm working on honing that stuff. So okay, I have a random question for you. What would you say is something like in your day-to-day life that gives you just the most joy?
The most joy, like the life around me gives me joy. The sun
That's
gives me joy. Looking at my daughter is 12 years old. Just looking at her makes me happy. Just everything
that's
makes me happy. My dogs playing make me happy.
that's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, again, I'm like that too. So I relate. And I like to just like ask whatever question comes into my mind, and that's why.
I'm happy to have, like when people need my help and I'm helping, I feel happy. Like the same as Reiki. When I perform Reiki on people and I see what's going on, sometimes they giving me feedback when I ask like what's going on in your body, please let me know. And I see how it works, how it moves exactly where they point to. And the results amazing after the session. They say, like all my home task before it took me like an hours to think, okay, when I do next, and just days by days I could accomplish like boom boom one after another quick, and just my eyes open up and I feel so calm and happy, and makes me happy when they're happy.
Yeah,
So
what a great feeling to know that you're making a difference in people's lives.
yeah, the pain. So it works not just balancing and eliminating this depression, anxiety, like worrying. It brings all in balance, and like brings that energy like where it needed to be. This flow enhanced, and people like feel more calm. Of course, they don't. Create more diseases. It prevents you from creating those diseases. Your like body, mind, and like spirit condition.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's very cool. And I mean, I think, yeah, like they're so related. Illnesses of the mind as well as the spirit and the body. So that's very cool. And I so appreciate that you do that. Because I think there's just so much value in people who want to spread joy and spread love. I have this vision of a world that heals. And I know it's
Yeah,
a little silly, but I've got this vision. I can see it. And the more people that I get to meet, and I'm so lucky because I get to interact with wonderful people like you and other people who, at least share in part of that vision. And it just strengthens it. And then every day I wake up and I go, yeah, it's so possible. So that's really great. I appreciate that you do that.
yeah. The more people like us, the better world.
Hmm.
Sometimes you live in this shell of happiness and go out and see people angry. Say, "Whoa, people still like that."
Yeah, yeah, I've had
That's
that
so
too.
funny.
I'm like, why? What's going on? And they're like,
Yeah,
someone cut me off in traffic. And I'm like, well, yeah, but that doesn't seem like something to ruin your day about. But
yeah. It's our
I
choice how
understand.
you react to this being caught on traffic. So,
Hmm. And then, so you were saying that you are artistic. So what kind of art do you normally indulge in?
um, when I was younger, I was playing music and making music, playing the guitar, and I like to draw. And I have also a business in manufacturing where we create custom pieces, some custom art, so columns, arches, some wall art, so out of different materials like that you can touch actually, wood, foam,
That's so
stone. Yeah.
cool. Is that what the Andre mentioned? You have a CNC machine? Is that what that's for?
Yeah, that's the CNC machine does that. Not only CNC, but all the other equipment we have too.
That's so cool. That's so cool. And have you've always kind of been on this trajectory, or did you ever do more traditional type work, or have you always been like a passionate, free thinking artist?
No, it was always inside me. We before we were living in Russia, I was having a regular job. Like I have high education. I'm an engineer, and yeah, I was working on the rail station at some metallurgical plant. And then when we moved here in 2001, um, I met my husband in 2003 here. We started manufacturing business together, uh, where we like, are serving people with their dreams and desires to have things that they couldn't get other ways.
Oh yeah, there's something so beautiful about custom work where like because I do custom designs and stuff, just drawing though
Hmm.
and animation. And there's something so cool about like it's almost like you get to pull an idea out of someone else's head for them because they don't have the tools, the resources to do that. So you get to like work with them, talk with them, figure out really what it is they want, and then pull that out of their brains for them. And it feels like magic. Like you're connecting in this amazing, just very raw way by creating custom art. And I just love it.
Yeah, you would be the first stage. I would be the second when people know the idea most of the time and they just can't find it anywhere else. So and we create them for them, serve in this way.
Yeah, and you get to like I mean I love the communication element of it too. Like you communicate with clients and you're like, is it like this? And they're like, oh, not quite. And then you're like, oh, okay, well, what about this? And like, what is it about this that you're not sure about? And it's such a beautifully like human process, and I just love it. Uh,
That's true. Art has healing properties in it as well. So when we see sometimes something, it could be anything, and just opens up all the soul, right? And you just fit it inside and out everywhere. It gives something that we feel good about, right? But sometimes we looked at the other object and it gives us negative emotions. Oh, I need to stay away from that. So it has this component in it, and with our love that we put into our creations, we pass this love to other people to enjoy the
well,
benefits of it.
it's yeah, and it's palpable when like it's noticeable. Like you can definitely feel when someone has put a lot of love into a creation,
Hmm.
because like every time you look at it, it just sparks this feeling that is, I
That's
mean, it's
right.
indescribable, really.
That's right.
So it's super amazing. And so what's some stuff that you've worked on lately, art wise?
Art wise, mostly Reiki right now. It's
Okay.
at this stage of my life, I want to. I was like in between, like where I should put more attention to, and now I decided I need to move on with my Reiki a little deeper, further. It interests me. The energy subject very interest me. Um, all the science behind it's very interesting.
Oh yeah, when you said that you could photograph it,
Yeah.
that blows my mind because I mean I've long believed in a lot of the sort of I don't know what to call them, spiritual healing practices and stuff. And like I said, Reiki is just one that I never got too much into, but I've always believed in it, and it's so nice to have science saying yes, see, it is real. So I'm interested to see as science, excuse
Yes.
me, there's definitely areas of science where they're just kind of finally intersecting after all this time, and the groups of people that already knew they existed are like, yeah.
Yeah. If there is a way to increase our like enthusiasm, right? Our desire to live fully, we could definitely use it, right? So when people are happy, enthusiastic, they're full of energy, they have high flow of this Reiki, like this universal life force through them. They're more resistant to any illnesses, diseases, resistant to all these life setbacks that always thrown at us, right? Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but when person has a low key, low energy, like life energy force running through, because of different stress blockages that create blockages in our body, uh, like being angry or being tired, unhappy, all these negative emotions, they block the ability of the energy to flow through all our organs and create illnesses and diseases. And Reiki, by balancing, by stimulating immune system, actually increase the ability of our bodies to heal on their own, on our own. So that's so easy tool to use. Like we talked to my son, and he says, "Mom, like the best way to advertise your Reiki, let's say, like you guys using doing nails, like going spa, massage every day, and it's normal. So the Reiki does all of the above, and inside what we don't see, like our
Mm-hmm.
nails, but creates happiness, sustain our life, and like desire to be alive, and being happy." And on a regular basis, my God, this is a gift. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's quite obvious to me, talking to you and talking to Andre, like how much of an impact it really does have. And I think that this was a really, this is a great way to exemplify it to people, where, you know, like you can't show pictures of the nails, but you can just show the
Mm-hmm.
pure love and joy that radiates from you as you talk,
Yeah.
which really is evidence in and of itself that it works.
And it comes back to science again. This energy that we can, like, that people, other people can feel that coming from us, it created in our cells. It's stored in our DNA. And we exchange it when we meet each other. It's either negative or positive. People feel that, like, oh, I think I know him, right? So that's all based on our light production of our cells.
That's amazing. Okay, so I've got more questions always. What like what's the kind of, what is there any transformations that you've seen since you've been practicing in the last, you said 3 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is there any transformations you've seen that have just like that stick out to you a lot? Like any cool examples or stories you've seen for people?
Um, I didn't meet any like extraordinary, but it turns people around. Like their life path changes, their attitude to their health, to the food they eat changes, the love to themselves changes, and they feel more happy. The environment around them, like it's kind of like the eyes like blink and it's open up wider. They see
Mm-hmm.
more. They communicate better, and they get sick less. I mean, it's all
To me, that
prevented.
is
Yeah.
absolutely extraordinary. To me,
And
that's amazing.
people feel less pain if they have some chronic pain, or you can eliminate it if it's based on some emotional blockage in your body. I had my own example. Uh, uh, I was having pain like at my shoulder area. It was like a nut, and I used all this chiropractor and all this specialist and like regular Western medicine to help me. No one could. So it's some kind of allergy or something. 15 years I was suffering, and then when I was introduced to like emotional freedom technique, I was using on myself. Was began tapping acupuncture points and just breathing up that problem that exists inside my body and just working it off until I could let it go. It took me probably 3 or 4 sessions I was doing with myself, like one on one, without going to anyone even. And I released that blockage, like at that part of my body. And all of a sudden I said, man, it doesn't hurt. It's like, what? 15 years of pain, suffering, and just was just driving me nuts. And it just was released just like that, 3-4 sessions. The same Reiki does. So it just unblocks those bad memories, bad emotions, and let that healing Reiki energy moves through and detox and just turn on the natural healing abilities. That's amazing.
That's an incredible story. Absolutely. Oh, that's so cool. That's making me want to find a Reiki practitioner locally.
Here it is. By the way, I'm doing distant Reiki as well.
Oh, you can do it this long distance.
Long distance over the phone.
Oh, okay. I didn't know you could do that.
The first time I was doing it, I was experimenting with my sister. And I said, okay, you have to tell me everything because it's everywhere. It's around us. It's everywhere at the same time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't have any present, past. It's everywhere. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
And when I was doing Reiki, and I told her approximately, let's say I go from head to bottom, right?
Yeah.
And next time I didn't tell intentionally, but I was amazed when I was like putting, enhancing the energy, like letting the energy flow into the particular part of the body. She was telling that she felt either heat or like some tingling or some aching. And I was like, what? Even I'm doing it, I know it's doing the work. But when person tells you that exactly happening something at the same time over the phone, I said, what? That's amazing. That works.
That is amazing. I don't know if he told you, but Andre had this weird, and I had this weird thing that was like a time jump with Marco Polo, the app that we use all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so like, I'm a huge believer in distance and time and all of that stuff is a lot more flexible and permeable than we think of it as, especially, you know, when you're talking about how the energy is omnipresent, you know, like it's everywhere all the time. So that makes sense to me. I just never would have thought of it. So that's really exciting.
Yeah.
That's so exciting.
The simple example that everyone knows. We think about person and he calls you, right?
Yeah,
this
exactly.
is the same thing. This is energy. It's you touch him. So it's boom, instant.
Oh, that's so cool. I'm going to get more information from you after. So is there anything else that you want to add?
You know, besides the Reiki and me practicing Reiki, I want to add the other tool maybe you and other listeners might use. I was using this tool for being healthy since I'm in my 20s. I'm 54 now.
Okay.
And I read some book that wrote by Russian scientist, and that's why I just read the book, close it, and went do it. Back then I had pneumonia, and it was winter time, and step outside. I filled up 2 buckets of pure icy cold water, filled up with ice as well, stepped on the ice and pour these 2 buckets, one above my head and the other like on my shoulders. That's the way like to do that. And I was doing it every single day. And when you're sick, when I'm sick, I'm doing it. It depends like what virus you get, like 3, 4, 7 times a day, as fast I want to be healed, because I hate being sick.
Of course.
I like to be healthy.
Yeah.
So this is my tool since I was 20s, and I use it through all my life. I never went to doctors, never, with any flu or virus or any sickness I have. And my kids as well, when they're sick, they use the same thing. And my younger daughter, once she had a fever, like over the scale, you know, and doctor said, we don't know what's happening. Oh, okay, take antibiotics. I said, baby, here's antibiotics on one hand, here's mama's 2 buckets. What do you choose? She said, I choose 2 buckets. You pour it on me, I'm gonna cry, but you do it anyway, she said. So that's a tool I would just glad to share. I would happy if people would start using it. And again, it's scientifically like supported, because when you pour cold water on your body, it's a shock for the body. And body creates in response the heating proteins. It's like it gives out heat so fast, like whew. And this difference in temperature kills bad bacteria, bad viruses. Our bacteria that lives with us is used to different fluctuation of the temperature, but the the bacteria, the bad bacteria, that viruses, that flus and stuff comes in, and this fluctuation in temperature just kills it. So sometimes it takes one day, let's say 3-5 times a day, to use these buckets, and the colder, the better, and you healed, and
That's
you go to work.
awesome.
Day number
And
2, 3, you completely.
and I don't know if you, I'm sure you do, but there's another advantage to that technique. And so I hadn't heard about it using it for physical illness, but for emotional stuff, we have something called the human dive response. And so when we are covered in cold water like that, it actually changes. I'm trying to remember which one of it changes from one type of nervous system to the other, the sympathetic and parasympathetic. I don't remember which one, but it helps with extreme emotionality. So if you're having a lot of emotion for whatever reason, and you put cold water on your face or on your head like that, it also will calm you down and
Yes.
bring you into a to more calm state. So that's amazing advice all around. I love that.
Yeah, that's
um,
great.
so I guess my final question is, how can people find you? How can people find you and the Reiki so that they can enjoy more conversation with you and hopefully, maybe become a client if that's what they're looking for?
Uh, they can find me. Like, I don't have a website yet on that
Okay.
subject. I was all in manufacturing before that. Uh, and I think the best way to email me or text me or call me, and we get connected through the same Zoom or Skype or WhatsApp application. The best, like lately, I work through WhatsApp. It's
Okay.
longer and it's kind of free. You don't have to pay when you
Yeah.
exceed 30 minutes, right? So because the first sessions, as I noticed, they're always like around 1 hour or a little over an hour,
Okay.
and later on it could be like a little shorter because the body gets more balanced. So
Okay.
and
So in that case, people can reach out to me if they hear this and they're really interested, and I can pass along your contact information.
sure,
Okay, perfect. That's perfect. Thank you so much for taking the time to come on here. You're such a lovely human. It was just so great to talk to you.
thank you very much. It was nice talking to you too. Thank you for your
um,
questions.
thank you for your answers. I'm not sure how to I'm not sure how to end the live stream. We need Andre. Um,
Ah, I think he showed me.
okay.
Is it
And for my
right?
listeners out there, I love
Yeah.
you.
No,
Bye.
get out of here.
Let's see.